Majority Leader Adan Duale seeking to attain the Constitution prescribed two-thirds gender rule. 178 MPs voted for, 16 voted against and 5 abstained. 199 MPs were in the National Assembly proceedings, way below the 233 required to pass the bill, meaning 150 were not there. It means if nothing changes by August 27th this year, anyone can challenge Parliament's legality on the basis of the constitutional provision for gender representation. In studio tonight, Mbita MP Emilio Odhiambo, Professor Edward Kisiangani, Dr. Edward Kisiangani is a resident analyst, and James Lomenen, who's MP for Turkana South, not shy to say that he is not for the bill and you're among the people who voted no. First, a general question to all of you is, why do you think it has been so hard to rally MPs behind this bill?
Well, that's the story of my life and the life of every woman. That's why it's very difficult to rally MPs because of the issue of socialization, perceptions about women and leadership, because I know even though it was a gender bill, but at this point it affects women much more than it affects men. And there are a lot of myths and there are a lot of misconceptions and miscommunications about the bill, including the fact that, you know, it's going to increase the wage bill, Parliament is going to be bloated, women don't perform. You know, I really think all that are misconception. But I'm not discouraged. And one of the reasons I wasn't discouraged is because Honorable Phoebe Asio was seated right there in Parliament. She was one of the pioneers, actually the pioneer of affirmative action, way before I even imagined I would be in Parliament. And looking down from where she was, you know, sitting, we have a much bigger number. So it's we are not. It wasn't a destination. It's a journey.
It's a journey,
and we'll get there.
Okay.
Well, the reason why there are very many differences and they couldn't raise the two-thirds required for passing the bill. First of all, this is a political problem. It's a political problem because even the women who thought they were talking the same language were not talking the same language. Political parties have their own sensitive things to deal with, and they have a lot of focus. In fact, when you pass this bill, there are other issues that come up, issues of parity. You see, this Parliament has two issues. One is the issue that they have passed bad laws, and even implementation has been a problem. The second part of Parliament is that how can they again complete the passing of laws that will require implementation. Now, on those two issues, they don't agree, because each one is just chasing their own interests, political party interests. And as they chase the political party, there is a lot of hypocrisy in Parliament. One time I was here with Millie, and you remember she accepted some description from me. And, you know, I said there are foxes, and she said, yes, she's a fox, and there are many foxes there. So what is happening is there are so many foxes in Parliament. And this
despite the principle of coalitions,
trying to outmaneuver each other. Even when they disagree in the bar, they square it out in Parliament.
Right. Honorable James Lomenen, you're among the people who voted no again today.
Yes.
Why?
I think it's good to call a spade a spade. Many of the members of Parliament were not actual for that rule. Why? Any additional leadership in the Parliament, we already have burden in Parliament, 349 members of Parliament, plus senators, plus women rep. So any additional number is actually a burden to the ordinary citizen. We are only crying of wage bill, we are crying of poverty, we are crying of whatever. And then we want again to hide, by saying we want actually to meet actually the Constitution. You know, the Constitution is there. Implementation of Constitution is a different entity. One thing that we are the representative of the people, we have to see, to analyze the burden that we are actually putting to our people we represent. That's not enough. The other reasons why many people are not clear, because it's good to learn from the experiences. We have that rule was not actually for the women, the way people take. It was gender. Gender is for both male and female.
In this case, because women are less in parliament.
But the way women actually were owning it and brought intimidation to men. To say, no, if you don't vote for it, no, that's not actually the issue. That's not what we are saying actually.
Can I actually respond? And that's why I'm telling you there's a lot of misconception. And I want to agree with the professor to some extent, a lot of, let me not say a lot of, but some level of dishonesty. I don't want to call it hypocrisy. But we all take it in its stride because we've seen it. We've been there, done that, got a t-shirt. So it doesn't shock some of us who've been at this journey for a long time. And the reason why I'm saying that is if my brother was so minded about the public welfare, the first thing he should have done is to take a pay cut. Not to wait for us to say that women are coming, then suddenly we are so minded about the public good. If you are so minded about the public good, then let's start by getting our salaries cut. Then we'll be saying you're very serious about the public. That is one. Number two, one thing I would also want to say in relation to, you know, what he has said, like on the issue of intimidation. Actually, we've been very, very, very nice. We even took our brothers for dinner. We even took them for breakfast.
For dinner?
We took you for dinner.
That is actually, you know,
that is not a bribe.
For dinner,
that is not
men will remain men, and the women will remain women.
Exactly.
It's biblical.
I am glad.
You know, that's exactly the thing.
I am glad. I am glad that is actually saying
true.
The
so what do you mean by that?
That is the heart of what I'm talking about.
Okay, let me explain. What do you mean by that?
When we are making a decision, the decision must actually meet the Kantian theory. It must be universal. It must be approved by everybody. The decision we are making either in parliament for the behalf of the people must be enjoyed by many. Yeah, it must not be enjoyed by few.
You see the problem here. I have talked about the political thing. The political thing is even if finally, like the bill now has flopped, it can only come back to parliament after 6 months. Even if we went to elections under the current circumstances, when these ladies now decide they're going to vote, it doesn't change the way elections will be conducted. But if it was going to be a serious election issue, and you know the guys who are calling the shots and who are not being seen on the screen know very well that it's of no political consequence in the sense that when now you say, is it Uhuru Kenyatta or is it Raila Odinga? It doesn't matter. Each one will split and go their own way. But what we need to do, and in this debate, if we want to be sober, we don't want a chaotic political scenario. We have a constitution. This constitution is supreme law. And we don't have an option. So if anybody like the MP from Turkana South is saying there is no money to implement this, I think he doesn't have that capacity. He doesn't have that authority to speak like that. Because the people who made this constitution said it must be implemented. And we don't have option. So really we can come there, and there is, I want to say something because I want to add something about what you have said. You have also said that the cost is going to be very high. There is a lot of money in Kenya to be stolen, and it has been stolen, and some of it even you guys in parliament get fund allowances. This money, there's enough money to pay these MPs, these nominated MPs, or whatever you do with the women. I want to stand in front of everybody on this national television to say, our loyalty to the constitution cannot sway. If the alternative is anarchy, implement the constitution, and let us talk about it later.
Okay, let him respond to that, And we have a lot of feedback here. Jackson Letangule says the gender parity issue is a requirement of the constitution. What Prof was saying, that there is no choice other than to actualize it.
Yes.
Bono was saying, I think we respect this constitution. I want to say one thing. As Kenyans, as leaders, we cannot all be leaders. Yeah? We have one God. We have one God, we have one Allah, we have one Jesus. We have one president. Something that I want us to face the reality, that we are not against any woman or any man being a leader. But it is electors who elect for leaders. They are looking for leaders, whether a woman, whether a man. A person of a character who will represent people. It's not Milomenen who chooses these people, we elect them. It's the people of Kenya who elect them. So one thing that we are saying, I talked of experience. that, okay, let us analyze the nominated members of parliament who are in the parliament now. What I actually doing? I'm a member of parliament. What am I representing? I'm an elected member of parliament. I represent women, I represent disabled, I represent men, I represent everybody in my constituency. I'm not representing.
You see, you are right. You are right. You are right.
Let me finish. Yeah. I am not representing a specific group. I'm representing all people. Yeah. So let us see a scenario where a member of parliament and a nominated member with a woman. Every burden of that constituency comes to me. I do Red Cross work, I do emergency work, I do school fees work, I do everything. A nominated member of parliament, that's what? A nominated member of parliament, when that person is called by a person in the constituency, say, go to your member of parliament. Go to your member of parliament. That is not enough. I have not even finished. Let me finish. The other thing why we are not for that. The other thing we are not for that. We are looking at experience. You see, when we give this position, say, for example, 75 members, we have chosen 295, and then 299 or 349, and then we happen that we need 75, for example, women to be nominated. How do we elect this? How do we nominate these women? You will find most of the people nominated are coming either from cities, their relatives, their girlfriends, their boyfriends of those in power. You see, this is exactly what you are saying. I expected a scenario whereby, if it is actually nomination...
Now, okay, now that this is in the Constitution,
yes.
Now that this is the... What should be done then?
Yes, because the only thing that he can do is this. We must probably... you know what you are challenging? If you look at the articles, first of all, Article 10, then of course you have 27. There are several articles. Some of them are in the Bill of Rights. Some others are outside the Bill of, even 56. Some are outside the Bill of Rights. But because this issue that we are discussing also touches on the Bill of Rights, we must therefore suggest a referendum for you to propose that, and we change the Constitution so that it favors your argument. But for now, as a member of parliament, you have no option. You must implement.
Professor, we have an option.
Okay, let me
respond. First of all, I'm actually really saddened when I hear my own fellow member of parliament talking about the Constitution as though it's a novel. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and it is actually the what actually controls every aspect of our being, you know. And if you actually want to look at it as though it's just, you know, a book, it's not, you know, something that guides our lives. I'm really shocked. You can't say that we can't implement the Constitution. We must implement. No, you'll go and that's my interpretation. That's my interpretation. Okay. It may be wrong, but that's how I interpreted what you're saying. But now, having said that, one of the things I want to say, that for you as a legislator who sits in the House, I am saddened. I wish that next time we actually call you for one of these meetings, please join and listen. I am a lawyer. I would have advised you as a lawyer that the point at which we are actually going to discuss the formula is when we come with the ordinary legislation, not at the constitutional level. Right now we are only curing an anomaly in the Constitution, that we have a 2/3 representation in the Constitution without a formula. So we provided a formula, but how that would be effected is by secondary legislation.
Just a simple question. You are a lawyer.
Yes.
How do you, just take the Kenyans.
Yes.
How do you achieve that one in elective positions?
How do you achieve that in
elective positions?
There are so many ways which we have suggested, and we can sit down with you and agree. One of them is, we have already said, for instance, the best loser. The second option is what we have, like
how do you bring the second loser? Someone that people have rejected.
No, I've given you that. It's not. Can I say something that is really funny?
We can go on and on about it. We can go on and on.
As a person who comes from a marginal area like Turkana, we have provided for an equalization fund. If we were to come here and argue and say that everybody is equal, you don't need that equalization fund, that is a sort of argument that
we have not even seen the impact of that equalization fund. We are just seeing the constitution. We have not seen here.
Right.
So
the question is, what is the way forward?
You should not make your communities as proposals. Yeah? You should not take the advantage of marginalization to be a proposal. When it comes to real implementation, you don't consider it.
So what should be the way forward? This is in the constitution. What do you think should be the way forward?
For me first, the same constitution they are saying.
Time is running, you know.
Yeah, first, we will still amend this rule to be affordable, to be realistic. Not the way it is. That is one thing we will do.
What would you want? How will that be achieved? We will
amend one. There is a law that Mheshimiwa Chepkonga is bringing. That we will the same law, but we will be doing it progressively. Progressively, for people, because one thing, there is what we call harmful cultural practices. We need to go to these communities and teach them to realize that women need this leadership. We have not done actually that. Yeah, that's why we have to do progress, because it is not us. We have to educate these communities to realize it's not. We should not force them by law. Yeah. That's the thing we're saying.
Chepkonga's bill is not progressive, it's aspirational. And for me as a woman, I cannot support Chepkonga's bill as it is.
How should we get out of this then?
What I would want to say, because we really want to implement the Constitution, and I want to say with utmost due respect to the Supreme Court, they brought us here. They were trying to be pragmatic by trying to interpret what is not in the Constitution, by introducing a word called progressive, which the Chepkonga has misinterpreted. Because even progressive must have numbers. When you don't have numbers, you are talking about aspirational, which is vague. So my suggestion is this. The executive has failed. Legislature has tried and failed. People have options. So let those who want to go to court, go to court. We have tried as parliament, we have failed. Let those who want to go to court. You still have time before August, so you're saying you will not try and do anything else? We will try and do something in between. We will try and still talk to our brothers. But in the meantime, anybody who wants to go to court, because we have tried. As a legislator, this is the second time. We are not giving. It's not frustrating. We've been at this since I joined, all my professional life. This is what I've been agitating for. And even when I die, and I'm happy today that when I came into parliament, we were only, I think, 19. Today, as we are speaking, we are 60-something women. That's a plus. So eventually we will get there. We are the ones in the East and Southern African region. We will get there.
You know what? Hussein, this situation affects very many aspects of the Constitution. That's the starting point. Everybody in parliament and in the public domain should recognize that what we do or what we don't do affects Article 10, it at 56, it at 90, 91, 125, 116. If you do not implement the Constitution, you have organized a coup against the Constitution, and that is even treasonable. You shouldn't do that. So what we do is, if we have disagreed on the way forward, there is a chance to discuss on how to legislate, but there is no option on implementation. Whatever we do, we can still discuss. There should be dialogue on this matter. And once the dialogue starts, and people like ourselves and the other members of the society are invited, we can have a short conference and then discuss and say, this is what we want. It's going to happen. But if just thumping continues, one of us, including myself, will go to court. And we can go to court and say, look, the Constitution is not being implemented, and one of the things that is not being implemented is gender parity, and it touches on the Bill of Rights. What do? We dissolve Parliament. That is the extreme one, that we can still dissolve Parliament before 2017 to force a new Parliament to implement the Constitution. And we shall take you home.
Professor.
You will go home.
Professor. You have not tested politics. You are just talking ideal things.
No, but
you have not tested politics.
About the Constitution.
You will aspire. Let me tell you.
Will you be giving? Are you giving chance? Because you're winding up. Will you give chance for that dialogue?
Dissolve the parliament.
We must talk.
Listen. Whether you dissolve the parliament today, it will be Kenyans who will decide who will elect. It's not you. You will be one of the people who will elect.
Going forward, are you willing to dialogue about this and talk about this?
One thing I want to tell Kenyans, we will
achieve this. Change.
By August will achieve, and I want to tell Mheshimiwa, please don't lose hope. we will make it. We will make it. Because the other thing,
in the last parliament, we got
executive are not here. With any nomination, we have been having women. That parliament has been passing nominees for women. Every time it has been coming, we have never failed.
You know, you have said women, people elect men, and it is the men who are elected. If they look at them, I'm a leader.
Professor, are you really a professor? No. I have not said that. Don't put words in my mouth.
We don't want to get there. Come on, Honorable Menen. We don't want to get there. She's an elected member of parliament and she's the woman.
You don't put mouth in my mouth.
Okay, Honorable Menen. Thank you so much.
I have said it's elected Kenyans who will decide, who will vote. Whether you dissolve the parliament today or tomorrow.
Either way, our guest tonight.
And they will bring either they will bring the funds or solve the problem.
Please, what would happen?
You come and vote in Turkana, you want to vote for me.
Either way, Honorable Menen, we have to find out. We have to find out now. Either way, they have said they will sit and talk about this, and we hope there'll be some kind of agreement. This is difficult. By August, I'll take a look at what you've been saying. Feedback on Twitter.
You go to court. Every time going to court, court is not a solution.
Nehemiah R. It is so sad our mothers, sisters, and future daughters have not gotten justice today in that parliament. WOT Kenya, the bill should not pass at all. Women are the majority and they should fight for their space. And Moses Mwangi, implementing the two-third rule, most in parliament is a burden to taxpayers. How about reducing the number of MPs? A different discussion altogether.
We should.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Milio Dembo, MP Mbita, Honorable James Nominent, Turkana South MP, and resident analyst Edward Kisangani. Thank you.